konferansımıza katılmayı. Lakin bir başka önemli bir programdan dolayı bağlanamadı bugün, bu saatlerde denk geldi. Bu arada bugünden itibaren Türkiye'de 17 günlük tam kapanma başlıyor. Bugün başlayacak bu ve bizim de konferansımız bugüne denk geldi. 17 gün evde olacağız. Gerçi görevliler özel izinle gerekli durumlarda işe gidip gelebilecekler. Onun dışında 17 gün sadece yürüme mesafesindeki markete gidebileceğiz. Arabayla hiçbir yere gidemeyeceğiz. Böyle bir sıkı tedbir bugünden itibaren başlayacak. Bir taraftan tabii ki bu kısıtlama herkesi birazcık rahatsız etse de bu çok önemli bir tedbirdi ve biz bunu gerçekten destekliyoruz. Çünkü başka türlü bu hastalık belasıyla baş edemeyiz. Bir hafta sonra zaten Ramazan bayramı başlayacak. O bir hafta da buna bağlanarak inşallah bu 2 haftadan sonra daha rahat nefes alıp daha rahat dışarıya çıkabileceğiz ve yazı belki daha mutlu geçireceğiz. Evet, değerli katılımcılar, ben çok fazla uzatmadan Sevinç Hanım'a sözü bırakmak istiyorum. Sevinç Hanım, buyurun, hoş geldiniz tekrar. Buyurun, söz sizde.
Mən də hamını salamlayıram və sizlərə də, bizlərə də eyni zamanda xoş bulduq demək istəyirəm. Və öncəliklə dəyərli katılımcıları, hər iki universitetin öyrətim üyeləri və öğrencilərini salamlayıram. Və mən sizin çox hörmətli Gülmira xanım xahişinizi nəzərə alıb, yəni Türkçə bəzi kəlmələri Türkçə yəni çevirməyə çalışdım. Amma bir dil və ədəbiyyat üzrə mütəxəssis olduğuma görə düşünürəm ki, iki universitetin bu əməkdaşlığı nəticəsində biz hər ölkənin dilin özəlliklərini də qorumaq çalışacağıq. Yəni, həm Türk dilinin özəllikləri, həm də Azərbaycan dilinin özəlliklərinə, yəni qarşılıqlı belə hörmət bəsləyərək özəlliklərini qoruyacağıq. Və eyni zamanda da mən sizin Dokuz Eylül Universitetinin rəhbərliyini dəyərli xanım rektoru Dillər Universitetinin rəhbərliyi adından da salamlayıram. O rəhbərliyə də bizim adımızdan salamları yetirməyinizi xahiş edirəm. Gülmir xanım qeyd etdi ki, artıq biz bir-birimizin universitetlərində, yəni virtual olaraq görünsək də, biz qonaq kimi hiss etmirik. Çünki bu illər ərzində biz çox sıx-sıx görüşlər, dəyirmi masalar, söhbətlər və webinarlar təşkil etmişdik. Və bugünkü çox özəl bir görüşümüzün, elə demək olar ki, özəlliyi ondan ibarətdir ki, bugün bizim öğrencilərimiz bir araya gəlir. Bu artıq bizim əlaqələrin həm universitet, həm də iki dövlət arasında eğitimin əlaqələrinin çox belə konseptual yanaşmasıdır. Mən çox şadam ki, məhz Dillər Universiteti Azərbaycan tərəfindən və Dokuz Eylül Universiteti Türkiyə tərəfindən buna səbəb oldu. Yəni bu konseptual yanaşmada öğrencilərimizi bir araya gətirib və iki dövlətin kültürünü, dilini, yəni bir araya mədəniyyətini, yəni hər bir konuda müzakirəsi, mülahizələri, yəni çox vacib bir amildir. Mən də Azərbaycan-Türkiyə əlaqələri Ulu Öndər Heydər Əliyevin dediyi kimi bir millət, iki dövlət tezisinə bağlamaq istəyərdim. Bu artıq bizim əlaqələrimizdə bir möhkəm oturuşmuş bir tezisdir. Və bu illər ərzində biz ənənəyə sadiq olaraq Hətta vebinarı da keçirtmişdik. Bu yanvar ayı bir xatırlatma etmək istəyərdim. Yanvar ayında 2021-ci ilin Azərbaycan tarixində çox özəl bir il, yəni qələbə ili, zəfər ili olan anda həmişəki kimi Türkiyə bizim yanımızda oldu, qardaş Türkiyə bizə dəstək oldu və hətta eğitimdə belə biz yeni mövzulara, yəni onlayn, virtual şəraitdə yabancı dillərin öyrənməsinə webinarı həsr etdik. Təbii ki, təhsil ocaqları olaraq biz ilk növbədə gənclərin maraqlarını da nəzərə almalıyıq, gənclərin maraqlarını da düşünməliyik və onları bir çox narahat edən məsələlər var. 21-ci əsrdir, 21-ci əsr bilik əsridir. 21-ci əsr texnologiyalar əsridir. Əlbəttə ki, ümumi milli marağa dayanan mövzular ətrafında geniş fikir mübadiləsi çox vacibdir. Və mən Türkiyə və Azərbaycan gənclərin gələcəkdəki əməkdaşlığına, eləcə də həqiqətləri dünya ictimaiyyətinə çatdırılmasına təkan verən bu konfransımıza, bu webinarımıza çox ümidlər bəsləyirəm. Və ona görə də bu webinarın əhəmiyyətini xüsusilə qeyd etmək istəyirəm və təqdirə layiq bilirəm. Eyni zamanda mən öğrencilere bunu da hatırlatmak isterdim ki, yəni əlbəttə biz iki universitetin əməkdaşları, professor müəllim heyəti sizi bir araya gətirmişik. Amma əslində bunu da danmaq lazımdır ki, bu da danılmaz bir faktor ki, artıq Türkiyə Cumhuriyyəti Eğitim Bakanlığı ilə bağlanmış olduğu ilk müqavilə 1992-ci ildə, yəni 28 fevral tarixində reallaşmışdı və 10 illərdir ki, artıq hər iki dövlət bunun əsasında çox saylı dövlət proqramları, mübadilə proqramları təsis etmişdi və bu gün Azərbaycan tələbələri Türkiyə eğitimindən faydalanıb, eyni zamanda da Türkiyə dövlətinin tələbələri bu gün Azərbaycanda eğitimdən faydalanır, yəni qarşılıqlı faydalanma gedir. Və bu webinarın mövzusunun xüsusi belə əhəmiyyət kəsb etməsi üçün mən Murad bəyə də öz təşəkkürlərimi bildirmək istəyirəm. Çox özəl bir konudur. Yəni culturally engaged, bridging youth through cultural perspectives çox belə özəl bir konudur və bu konunu nəzərə alaraq mən hətta sizlə bir share, yəni bölüşüm etmək istəyərdim. Bu imkan var deyəsən, mənə imkan yarada bilərsiniz. Bir həm müəllif olduğum...
Paylaşmak için mi hocam?
Bəli, bəli.
Bir dakika lütfen.
Hesab edirəm ki, yəni hər iki tərəfə və tələbələrə də bu çox maraqlı olar.
Hocam sizi host yapıyorum şu anda. Paylaşım yapacaksınız sanıyorum, öyle değil mi? Onu istediniz benden.
Okay. Paylaşım yaptığım bu kitap Welcome to Azerbaijan adlanır. 2018-ci ildə artıq ərsəyə gəlmişdi və bugün çox sevindirici haldır ki, bu kitabın 36-38-ci səhifələrə biz qələbə ilə bağlı bir dəyişiklik də etmişik. Çox sevinirəm onun üçün. Və mən paylaşım etdiyim gördüyünüz kimi Akademiya Edu saytıdır, web saytıdır. Bu kitap artıq 2018-ci illərdə demək olar ki, bütün partnyor universitetlərin ölkələrinə, səfirliklərinə deməli verilmişdir, hədiyyə olunmuşdur və ümidvaram ki, Gülmir xanım bu webinardan sonra sizin universitetinizin bir güşəsində də bu bir yer tapacaq. Dediyim kimi həm müəllif Sevinç Zeynalova və universitetimizin professoru Məsmə xanım Qaziyeva ilə bərabər yapılmış bir işdir. Deməli, bu kitabın redaktorları, yəni editorları görkəmli Azərbaycanda yaşayan Britan jurnalisti Ian Peer tərəfindən editor olunmuşdur və onun xanımı Azərbaycanlı Sadət İbrahimova tərəfindən və kitabın ön səhifələrində Welcome to Azerbaijani dəvətini hörmətli rektor akademik Kamal Abdullayev etmişdir, açmışdır ilk səhifəsini. Özlüyündə deməli 6 bölümdən ibarət olan bu kitab Azərbaycanı artıq deməli universitet professorları gözləri ilə ifadə edir və bu 6 bölümdə həm coğrafiya, həm təbii ki tarix, siyasi quruluş, ekonomi və eğitim deməli mədəniyyəti də aşılayır. Eğitim bölməsində Dillər Universiteti haqqında çox geniş bir məlumat ala bilərsiniz. Mən sizi bugün burada kitabla tanış eləyərək çox saxlatmayacağam. Dediyim kimi həm elektron versiyası ilə sizin kitabxananıza bağışlamaq fikrimdəyəm, həm də özü canlı olaraq sizə bunu hədiyyə edəcəm. Beləliklə mən bizim konfransımıza, webinarımıza və öğrencilərimizə, bunun təşkilatçılarına uğurlar diləyirəm və Azərbaycan dilində desək, yəni axarıncı olsun, davamlı olsun deyirəm. Mən əminəm ki, bugünkü webinarda bu konuda fikir mübadiləsi aparan tələbələr növbəti dəfə daha maraqlı, daha önəmli bir konulara da müraciət edəcək. Bir daha uğurlar, bir daha salamlar və öğrencilərimizə də, təşkilatçılarımıza da bugünkü günü dəyərləndirməyə də çağırıram. Təşəkkür edirəm, çox sağ olun.
Çok sağ olun Sevinç Hanım. Gerçekten çok güzel bir kitap, çok değerli bir kitap. Bizim kütüphanemize bunu hediye ettiğiniz için, bize bugün bunu tanıttığınız için çok sağ olun. Yazarlardan birisisiniz. Emeğinize, elinize sağlık. Mutlaka bizim öğrencilere de bu kitaptan yararlanarak Azerbaycan'ı daha yakından tanıyacaklar. Ve biz bunu daha geniş kitleye mutlaka açacağız ve birçok insan belki bilmediği açılardan şu anda sayfalardan görüyorum hem kültürü hem tarihi Azerbaycan'ın burada yer almaktadır. Birçok alan hem akademisyenleri hem öğrencileri bu kitaptan mutlaka yararlanacaklar. Elinize sağlık. Gerçekten çok değerli bir bilgi edinmiş olduk bu vesileyle. Çok sağ olun. Açılış konuşmaları burada tamamlanmıştır ve şimdi biz artık konferansımızın konuşmalarına başlayabiliriz. Moderatörlüğü kim yapacak? Özlem Hocam siz...
Ben devrediyorum hocam. Evet. Sevinç Hocam paylaşımı kapatabilirseniz sizden hostluğu geri almak durumundayım.
Okay.
Çok teşekkürler. Paylaşımı kapattınız mı hocam?
Kapattım.
Benim ekranımda hala duruyor da o yüzden dedim.
Ben bir de kapattım. Oh, sorry.
Evet Özlem Hocam sanırım kapandı.
Evet hocam. Şöyle, ben geri alamıyorum çünkü Sevinç Hoca'yı host yapmıştım. Sevinç Hocam, siz beni bana verebilir misiniz geri? Ya da Murat, sen yapabilir misin?
Deneyeyim.
Belki ben burada multiple participants can share edim. İsteyirsiniz ben çıktıkta yani paylaşım size geri dönebilir.
Neden geri alamıyorum? Bilemedim hocam ya.
Ben de alamıyorum. O yüzden bakıyorum.
Sevinç Hanım, siz yalnız Özgüler Hanım'ın karşısında işaret.
9 Eylül Üniversitesi yazıyor hocam benim karşımda.
9 Eylül için orada access verirseniz yeterli olur.
Screen share. Köylü Hanım, ben çıksam, yani yeniden sonra girsem.
Təəssüf ki olmayacaq çünkü artık host sizsiniz. Səhv etmirəmsə Elşən müəllim də co-host sayılır.
Sevinç Hocam, 9 Eylül Üniversitesi yazıyor ya katılımcıların arasında, 9 Eylül Üniversitesi.
Aha.
Katılımcılara giderseniz participants.
Okay.
Onun üzerine gidin hocam. More diye bir şey çıkacak. Mute and more.
Mute and more, okay.
Ona tıkladığınızda make host.
Stop video. Stop.
Make host var hocam. Make host.
Okay. Okay.
Tamam, teşekkürler. Evet. Çok teşekkürler. Evet, herkes yeniden hoş geldi. Ve bugün birincisini gerçekleştiriyoruz. Azerbaycan ve Türkiye 9 Eylül Üniversitesi ve Azerbaycan Dillər Universiteti ortaklığında ve bundan oldukça gurur duyuyoruz. Birlikte çok çalıştık. İlk öğrencimiz Kövsər Zəkəriyeva Azerbaycan Dillər Üniversitesi'nden. Şimdi ben onun yes, I can't see her, but are you there, Kövsər?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so you can start if you are ready.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, hello to all of you. It's nice to be here with you today, and with your permission, I'm going to talk about fundamentals of Azerbaijan's foreign policy. Let me share my slides, sorry. Okay. Okay. As Azerbaijan is located in a fairly complex and strategically important region, its foreign policy is based on the criteria of protecting its national interest and strengthening its status as a leading state in the region, as well as maintaining and expanding equal relations with all countries with interest in the region. Today, President İlham Aliyev continues his foreign policy founded by national leader Heydar Aliyev. Azerbaijan is a member of a number of organizations such as the Council of Europe, the Organization of Islamic Solidarity, and the Economic Cooperation Organization. And Azerbaijan is one of the founders of the Black Sea Economic Cooperation Organization. In the election held on October 24, 2011, which elected a non-permanent member on the UN Security Council for 2012 and 2013, and Azerbaijan achieved a great historical success, gaining the support of 155 countries. And Azerbaijan is first non-permanent member of South Caucasus and Central Asia, and the second in the CIS. And nowadays, Azerbaijan, with its rich oil and gas reserves, is always attracting the attention the Europe and the other countries, which are looking for alternative transportation options The extension of the contract of the century signed in 1994 on the invitation Heydar Aliyev until 2050, the implementation of the Southern Gas Corridor, TAP, and the other energy projects are of great importance for energy security in Europe and the world. And in the report of Davos Economic Forum for 2017 and 2018, Azerbaijan moved from 37 to 35 place among 140 countries. Then the proclamation of the 2016 as the Year of Multiculturalism and 2017 as the Year of Islamic Solidarity in Azerbaijan is the result of Mr. President's far-sighted policy and an axiom state, and it declared when Islamophobia, xenophobia, and anti-Semitism are on the rise in the West. Mr. President stressed the importance of strengthening the solidarity of Muslim countries. And right now, let me talk about a little bit foreign policy issues. One of the most important issues in the foreign policy of Azerbaijan is the active participation of our country fighting against international terrorism and use of weapons of mass destruction, prevention of the policy of separatism, gain an alliance in the country and in the world for this purpose, and eliminating the consequences of military are among the most important directions in Azerbaijan foreign policy. Then on the initiative of Mehriban Aliyeva, the Garden of the Cultural Heritage of the Azerbaijani people, the Çarşar Historical and Architectural Reserve, and the Gobustan Rock Monuments have been included in the World Cultural Heritage List. Then Mugam, a magnificent monument of our cultural and spiritual heritage, has also been included in the UNESCO Intangible Heritage List. Then, in addition, Vice President of the Heydar Aliyev Foundation, Leyla Aliyeva, speaking out from active civil position, initiated organization of the international campaign Justice for CulturALLY in order to disseminate accurate and complete information about the crimes of the Armenian aggressors. She has done great work in this movement for 3 years, covering more than 50 countries. Then more than 1 million people around the world have signed a petition calling for the tragedy to be recognized as an act of genocide. Also, in the initiative of Leyla Aliyeva, the Justice for CulturALLY campaign was implemented in Bursa, the Turkish office of the Heydar Aliyev Foundation. As part of the campaign, residents of Bursa, guests of the city, and Azerbaijanis living here organized a march. People of different nationalities joined the march and with photos, banners depicting the CulturALLY tragedy. The activity of women deputies of the National Assembly should also be noted in the work done in the international direction. As an example, in 2018, Colonel Nurullayeva was appointed head of the Committee on Gender Equality and Sport, which established under the auspices of the IHIF. Then Sahiba Ghafarova is currently the head of the Azerbaijani delegation to the CIS Interparliamentary Assembly. Then Leyla Abdullayeva worked as diplomat at the representation of the Republic of Azerbaijan to NATO. On the other hand, Tamam Jafarova has been a member of the South Caucasus Women's Coalition since 2002. Finally, in connection with foreign policy, I would like to talk about the Second Karabakh War. From the first hours of the war, both the official and the Turkish public continued the political and diplomatic support of the Republic of Turkey, which declared its firm position in the direction of Azerbaijan. Thus, on September 27, Turkish Defense Minister Akar stated that it was on the side of Azerbaijan, emphasizing that Armenia's position is the biggest obstacle to peace and stability in the South Caucasus. On the same day, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said, "I call on the whole world to stand by Azerbaijan in their struggle against occupation and oppression." Unfortunately, the co-chairs of OSCE Minsk group, which have been ignoring the issues for only 30 years, as far from working to resolve it. Today, as always, The Turkish nation is with our Azerbaijani siblings, with all its capabilities. After the war, and after the end of the war, there was close cooperation with Turkey during the deployment of peacekeepers in the region. Thus, on November 10th, in Baku, President İlham Aliyev received Foreign Minister Çavuşoğlu, Minister of National Defense Akar, and Chief of the National Intelligence Office Fidan, noting that this victory is joint victory of the Turkish-Azerbaijani Union.
Thank you, Kevsər.
Thank you for listening to my piece.
Yeah, it was really interesting to listen to you. Full of informative presentation it was. Thank you.
Thank you too.
And now, okay, from Dokuz Eylül University, Nursen Güngör.
Özlem, maybe there might be some people to ask questions to Kevsər.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just thank you for reminding. Yeah, any questions to Kevsər, please?
Actually, I would like to ask one, if you don't mind. Kevsər, I like your presentation, particularly the part that you mentioned about the Turkey as a republic and the Azerbaijani part, the reunion and being together. What else can be done to improve this togetherness? As you know, in the war of Karabakh, and Turkey and Azerbaijan became more close to each other. And as a student, what do you think should be done more to become much more better in terms of relationship between Azerbaijan and Turkey?
Actually, Turkey always with us and supported us in the issue of Armenian terrorism and Karabakh, not just only during the Second Karabakh War. And the support and determination of Turkey made us stronger. The president of the broader country called the whole world to justice. This was very gentlemanly and very fair. Actually, I don't have any idea because I'm not interested in politics, but you know that who support justice always win, and that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Or maybe comments? No?
I will comment on,
Okay.
if possible. Thank you, Kevsər. Thank you very much. Really, it was informative. And I think giving answer to Murat Bey, just question, I would say that the students, the youth of both countries should promote culture to the world. Okay, promoting culture as a prior, is a priority, I think. Just in gaining support of the world, in gaining just auditorium, in to widen, in order to widen the supporters and just interested people in just in policy or just whatever, in culture, in art of these countries. We should promote it. We should promote it to the world. That is why. Ve öncelikle Gülmir Hanım, ben bizim üniversitetin rəhbərliyində elə bu konuda yəni danışarkən belə bir xahişini, bir arzusunu bu çatdırmaq istərdim. Bizim üniversitetdə, Dillər Universitetində artıq 2019-cu ildə mən bir görüşdə bunu demişdim. Türk Araşdırma Mərkəzi təsis olunmuşdu. Yəni gözəl bir mərkəzdir. Onun açılışında Türkiyə səfirliyinin nümayəndələri və YÖK başqanı, Türkiyənin YÖK başqanı yəni bu görüşdə, bu açılışda iştirak etmişdilər. Və bizim də universitetin arzusu odur ki, qarşılıqlı olaraq 9 Eylül Universitetində də Azərbaycan şünaslıq və yaxud Azərbaycan belə bir kafedrası ya mı, mərkəzi mi açılsın. Bu açılışda da biz məmnuniyyətlə iştirak edərik. Onun o Gülşənin deməli işində biz yaxından iştirak etməyə hazırıq. Çok sağ olun.
Teşekkür ederiz Sevinç Hanım bu teklifinize göre. Biz bunu gerekli yerlere götürerek inşallah burada da elə bir merkez açılması mümkün olar. Çok sağ olun. Teşekkür ederim teklifiniz için.
Gülmira Hocam en azından yeni binamıza geçersek biliyorsunuz binamız çok büyük, geniş. Belki bir köşesini Azerbaycan için ayırabiliriz. Ne dersiniz?
Evet tabii çok iyi olur. Bize yeni bina şu an inşa aşamasındadır. Çok büyük bir bina olacak inşallah. Orada daha güzel imkanlarımız olacak diye umuyoruz. Evet güzel olur. Sağ ol Murat.
Okay, then if there aren't any comments or questions, I'm gonna go on. Now it's Nursen's turn. Nursen Güngör from Dokuz Eylül University. She will talk about Turkish women throughout history. Nursen, are you there? Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, okay. Yes, we're listening to you.
Let me share my screen first.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, I am Nursen, and as you know, I study at Dokuz Eylül University. My department is English language teaching. Today, I will be talking about Turkish women throughout the history. Throughout the Turkish history, women have always been cherished and treasured, and they have played an important role not only in social life, but also in political life. No matter how much their role may have changed from time to time due to the factors such as religion, social structure, and culture, it's an unwavering fact that their importance remains the same. In this presentation, I will mainly focus on three important topics, which are Turkish women in the old Turkish states, Turkish women with Islam, and Turkish women after the foundation of the Republic. Here is our first part. First of all, let's take a look at how were women addressed at that time. Depending on the state they live in, they were either called Hatun or Hanım. Those honorifics both have a similar meaning, which is significant to some, but at those times in other cultures, women often weren't even given names and seen as an unworthy form of life. Let's take Arabic for example. In Arabic culture, women are addressed as avrat, meaning the one who has flaws. My point is, even the small situation indicates the importance of the place Turkish women had. In the Turkish Empire, women were considered as complementary of men, and nothing will be done without them. In fact, in the orders that the Khan gave, if there wasn't the Khan's wife's name, the orders were regarded as baseless and invalid. Foreign country ambassadors wouldn't only appear before the emperor. It was an absolute rule that the wife was with the Khan during the acceptance of the messengers, and at the meetings, the wife would sit right beside the emperor. Additionally, when the emperor was away for hunting or a war, the wife of the emperor would accept the ambassadors and greet them in the emperor's stead. For example, the ambassadors who came to the European Empire were received by the Emperor Attila's wife Hatun, and she administered a discussion about state affairs. As well as having a voice within the family, economics, and state business, the old Turkish women were also prominent in the army. They would fight during wars, use their swords well, and ride horses. They were so brave and daring that they wouldn't even marry a man who hadn't killed enough enemies. When they die, they will be buried with their bows, arrows, swords, and horses as a sign of respect. Speaking of their value features, it would be a shame not mentioning Thomas Hatun, who was the first woman ruler of a Turkish state. And let's go with the second part, Turkish women with Islam. It's a bit disappointing to say that during this period, Turkish women were more passive compared to the earlier years of their history. However, in the early years of the Ottoman Empire, they weren't entirely hushed and imprisoned at houses yet. They still took place in society and were busy with handicrafts such as weaving. They would help their husbands in farming and shop in the markets. At those times, in these years, they didn't have a custom of avoiding men or a conservatism about veiling. Nevertheless, during Sultan Yıldırım Beyazıt's time, the palace became an entertainment center, and after that, the perspective on women began to change. The idea of harem and concubine became more widespread. As a result of this, Turkish women lost their place as warriors, which they once had. Still, the harem life was limited to the palace in Istanbul, which was accepted as the capital of the administration. Never in the Ottoman countryside, the harem life was seen and included within the family. In the countryside, the woman maintained her traditional egalitarian position and mostly shared the same rights with men. Not before long, sadly, during a period called the Classical period in Ottoman Empire, the clothing that women wore determined by edicts. In all edicts, they were asked to wear hijab, and their clothing was arranged to the finest details. As for the other situations of women in the Ottoman Empire, it's the fact that women had a lower share of inheritance than men. In the Ottoman courts, 2 women were only equal to 1 man, and in order to prevent women from coming across men, wooden partitions were made in vehicles such as trams and ferries. In addition, due to the Sharia rules, it was absolutely forbidden for women to conduct and learn any scientific studies. What they can learn was limited to religious studies. Fortunately, this restrictive approach towards women began to change in the early years of the 19th century, when the need of enhancing women's status in society had been put into words for the first time by the reorganization era intellectuals. However, this issue became debatable only after the notions of personal rights, freedoms, and equality, which were brought by the Second Constitutional Era. Thanks to them and the magazines they published, the folk gradually became more and more aware of the importance of women, and women gained a new image within society, as well as new rights. One of those rights was being able to get a higher level of education, let's say a high school level of education. Besides religious studies, they could only get basic calculation and reading classes before, and even that was an exception to the emperor's family. After the proclamation of the Second Constitution, women also began to take part in the field of politics. Although they still didn't have the right to vote, they could form and attend small organizations. For the first time in the Ottoman history, the legal decree regulating the status of women and the family law entered into force. With this law, an age limit was introduced for marriage, and girls weren't allowed to marry at an early age, which was 17. In brief, during this period, women began to gain more momentum in many aspects of life. They refused to be imprisoned at home and fought for their rights. And our last but not the least part is Turkish women after the foundation of the Republic. Due to many reasons, the Ottoman Empire couldn't survive any longer and eventually collapsed. Subsequently, the Republic of Turkey was founded by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. He was a great leader, and he always thought that family was the building block of society. He believed that for a family to be healthy, the woman was the keystone. The value he gives for Turkish women can clearly be understood from his words, which are, "O hero Turkish woman, you are not worthy to crawl on the ground, but to rise to the skies on shoulders." After great efforts and long and tiring attempts, he granted many rights for Turkish women. I want to talk about some of those rights given and the laws that are introduced. Women started working as civil servants for the first time. A year later, a higher education institution for girls was opened under the name of İnas Darülfünun. Co-education started in Darülfünun. Turkish civil code was adopted. Women were given the right to divorce, custody, and the right to dispose of the property. I want to draw your attention that Turkey adopted the civil code many years before the many European countries. Let's move on. They were given the right to vote and be elected in municipal elections. In the villages, the right to be a muhtar and to participate in the council of elders was granted. A year later, the women were given the right to vote and be elected. 18 Turkish women parliamentarians entered the Turkish Grand National Assembly for the first time. Sadiye Hanım was elected as the first woman mayor. In 1985, Turkey signed the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, and the convention entered into force in 1986. There are many other laws and campaigns that need to be mentioned, but I wanted to keep it short. On the whole, like any other woman, Turkish women faced many difficulties from time to time. Sometimes they felt hopeless and accepted the unpaid treatment, and sometimes they rebelled against their poor social status. Today, although there is still some certain discrimination against them, they will never stop seeking their rights, and one day they will be an inspiration for women all over the world. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I will gladly answer them.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
You said some cloth regulations and free day arrangements are organized with edicts. Do you have any more examples about it?
Well, when I was doing research for this presentation, I came across an information about Sultan III, Osman III. Apparently, when he was going out, he gave orders that forbid women from going out. That was shocking for me.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, Nursan, it was really interesting. Throughout the history, women all over the world, had some difficulties, but Turkish women, yeah, their history is unique, as you told. Thank you.
I would also like to ask a question, if you don't mind. Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank Nursan for a very interesting presentation. It was very interesting to listen to your presentation in terms of the chronological order you used. I liked the way you presented it, going back to the old times and to the present day situation in Turkey. So Turkey is quite a big country. So I wonder whether there is a kind of, what is the role of regional differences in Turkey in terms of the status of women?
Well, in the eastern part of the Turkey, women are more conservative and compared to the eastern ones.
Okay, so does it mean that eastern part, so they are, let's say they are more modern, does it mean that they are more involved in the political system of the country, or in education, or in other fields of life, let's say?
Of course, the eastern part are also developing and also take part in politics, but not as much as the eastern ones.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I've got a question as well.
Yeah, please go.
Do you believe that women are equal to men? I, of course, know that they are equal as well, but I would like to know your opinion.
That's a good question. I can say that women and men are so-called equal, like any other woman around the world.
Good. I also think that they are equal because I've seen women stronger both physically and mentally than men. There are things that women can do, but men can't. And there are things that men can do and women can't. Just because we have such thing doesn't mean that men are more dominant than women. I've been encountering such things such as, go stay at home, you belong only at home, go cook me some meal. And when I heard men telling such things to females, it broke my heart. They are humans too. They can do whatever they like. They can be free as well.
Yes, I agree with you. Totally.
Do you, what religion do you follow? If you don't mind me asking, what religion do you follow?
Well,
World peace.
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I think this is
believe in
quite
world peace.
personal. It's a personal question, right? So I think we should skip that question, Mike, if you don't
Oh, I
mind.
was just asking. I was just curious
okay.
about all this hijab, what you said about hijab, what the history of hijab in Turkey. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, that's I see your point, but it was just a historical period she was talking about. So the religion she follows is her concern, I think.
I understood. Sorry
Yeah.
for asking. I didn't know. Okay, I've got no questions. All I want to say is you did well. I was inspired by your presentation. It was very inspiring, to be honest.
Mike, I would like to add something if you don't mind. In Turkey, what we believe is this, as Turkish people, women are the human and men are the children of these human.
Yes.
Okay.
I understood. Thank you. Thanks for the answer.
Yeah, we thank you. All right. Any questions or any comments? If not, Nursen, would you please just stop sharing your screen?
Okay.
Thank you. It was really interesting to listen to you. Now, another student, this time from the University of Azerbaijan, Azerbaijan University of Languages, I'm sorry. Gülşən Sərxanova, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, okay. She will share her talk on state structure of Azerbaijan. We're now listening to you, Gülşən, if you're ready.
Yes, first of all, hello, I'm glad to be with you. Now I'll give you some significant information about state structure of the Azerbaijan. Now let me show you my presentation.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, political system and national assembly. The Azerbaijan state is democratic, legal, secular, unitary republic. State power is organized on the principle of separation of powers. In accordance with the traditional concept of separation of powers, the Constitution stipulates that executive power belongs to the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, and the only source of the state power is the Azerbaijani people. The head of the state of the Republic of Azerbaijan is the President of Azerbaijan, and he is elected by the people of Azerbaijan. The President appoints Vice Presidents and First Vice President of Azerbaijan. Legislative power is exercised by the Parliament of the Republic of Azerbaijan. The National Assembly and judicial power is exercised by courts. Each cameral body consists of 125 deputies. 4 of them are represented in the leadership. The National Assembly of the Republic of Azerbaijan is a state authority exercising legislative power. The staff of the National Assembly consists at the head, 1 deputy, secretariat, 10 departments, 23 sectors, and the head of affairs. There are 15 standing committees and 2 commissions consist of deputies. The first one is discipline and the second one is calculator. The term of office of its convocation of the National Assembly of the Republic of Azerbaijan is 5 years. Elections of each convocation of the National Assembly are held on the first Sunday of November every 5 years. The National Assembly holds 2 regular spring and summer sessions every year. Deputies are elected by free personal and secret ballot on the basis of the majority electoral system, universal, equal, and equal suffrage. Yes, 1 minute, please. The Azerbaijani president. The head of state of Azerbaijan is the president of the Republic of Azerbaijan. The executive power in the Republic of Azerbaijan belongs to the president of the Republic of Azerbaijan. A citizen of the Republic of Azerbaijan, not younger than 35, permanently residing in the territory of the Republic of Azerbaijan for more than 10 years, entitled to participate in elections, including not convicted of a serious crime, not liable to other states, higher education, dual citizenship, may be elected president. The president of the Republic of Azerbaijan is elected on the basis of the universal, equal, and direct suffrage by free, personal, and secret ballot for a term of 5 years. The president of the Republic of Azerbaijan is elected by a majority of more than half of the voters. The president of the Republic of Azerbaijan is the supreme commander-in-chief in armed forces of the Republic of Azerbaijan. The president organized the executive office of the president and appoints its head in order to create conditions for the exercise of constitutional powers. The general management of the executive office is carried out by the president. The office of the presidential affairs deals with the logistics and finances of the activities of the president and the executive office. The cabinet of the ministers. The cabinet of the ministers consists of the prime minister of the Republic of Azerbaijan, his deputies, ministers, and heads of other central executive bodies. Its meetings are usually chaired by the prime minister. The prime minister, in turn, is appointed by the president with the consent of the National Assembly. When establishing general rules, the cabinet of ministers adopts decisions and orders on other issues. The cabinet of ministers prepares and submits the draft state budget to the president, ensures the implementation of the state budget, ensures the implementation of the fiscal and monetary policy, also ensures the implementation of the state economic policy, and ensures implementation of state economic programs and social security programs. And so, directed by this annual their acts, the Cabinet of Ministers of the Republic of Azerbaijan is a supreme executive body established by the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan for the purpose of organizing the implementation of its executive powers, directly subordinate to and accountable to the President. Judicial. Judicial power in the Azerbaijan Republic is exercised by the Constitutional Court of its Azerbaijan Republic, the Supreme Court of the Azerbaijan Republic, the Court of Appeal of the Azerbaijan Republic, the Economic Court of the Azerbaijan Republic. Article 7 of the Constitution of the Republic of Azerbaijan stipulates that the legislative, executive, and judicial authorities shall interact and be independent with their powers. The importance of women in Azerbaijan. In Azerbaijan, members of the fair sex are present in almost every part of the government. They are represented in the court, the National Assembly, the Cabinet of Ministers, the executive power, and the presidential administration. Now I'm gonna talk one of them. She's Mehriban Əliyeva. She's Azerbaijani physician and ophthalmologist, the first vice president and first lady of Azerbaijan, the head of Heydar Aliyev Foundation and chairperson of Azerbaijan Culture Friends Foundation, the president of Azerbaijan Gymnastic Federation, and the Goodwill Ambassador of UNESCO and ISESO. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Gülşen. It was again very interesting and very informative. Personally, I think, of course. We can accept questions and comments, I think, now.
Özlem, if you don't mind, I want to ask something to Gülşen. Gülşen, as a student of Azerbaijan and as a Turkish individual, do you think that Turkey and Azerbaijan in the future should unite and become a single country?
Yeah, it's very interesting question. Thanks for your question. Yes, I think it can be, and it's really it have been in the future. It will be good for the Muslims and Turkish. I mean Turkish Muslims. Yes, of course, I agree. Thank you for your question again.
And it's really good to see a woman in one of the top positions in politics, right? So in your country, are there, a lot of women interested in politics or taking part in politics?
Thank you.
I mean, how many women deputies do you have in your National Assembly? Do you know the number?
125 deputies, and 4 of them are present in the leadership.
Oh, that's good.
That's really a good number.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Any questions? Any other comments to Gülşen? Yes. Okay, if there aren't any questions or comments, how are you feeling right now? We may have a short break if you like. You can go grab your coffees or teas. I mean, the ones in Turkey, they cannot go out anyway. But I don't know the ones in Azerbaijan. Do you feel that you need a break, or shall we just go on with other presenters? I mean, we can give a 5 or 10 minute break if you like.
Mm-hmm. I don't think. I think we will be fine if we continue.
Murat Hocam, what do you say?
I think let's go. It's better.
It's better. Yeah. Okay. So now, actually,
especially Hocam, considering fasting time in both countries and restrictions.
Yes, I agree. I agree, Hocam. Okay, now we just moved to section 2, and the first speaker in section 2 is Göksu Doğan from Dokuz Eylül University, and her topic is national holidays in Turkey. Yes, you're here, right, Göksu? I can see your name.
Yes, I'm here.
Göksu?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay, here I go. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, it's now black, Göksu. I don't know why. Yes, now I can see.
Maybe I can go on like this. Okay, hi everyone. I'm Göksu Doğan from the Department of English Translation and Interpreting. Today I'm talking about national holidays celebrated in Turkey. We have 4 different national holidays, including April 23rd, National Sovereignty and Children's Day, May 19th, commemoration of Atatürk Yağ and Sports Day, August 30th, the Victory Day, and October 29th, Republic Day. These days are celebrated all over the country every year. Each of them made big differences in Turkey's history. Our first special day is the Children's Day. This is the day that Great Assembly of Turkey was founded in Ankara. During the War of Independence, Grand National Assembly met in Ankara and laid down the foundations of a new independent, secular, and modern republic from the ashes of the Ottoman Empire. Later in 1927, the day was first celebrated as Children's Day. It's a very old video. Let's check it together. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk invited Republican band to have a concert for children, and that is how this tradition started to spread. Atatürk's goal was to make children feel happy and appreciated, since the country's situation was complicated all the time. He presented April 23rd to all children in the world to emphasize that they are successors of the future. At first, the day was only celebrated in big cities. Schools participated in the ceremonies. With long parades, children wore their uniforms to represent education's importance. In the recent celebrations, elementary schools participate in ceremonies with traditional dances, poems, and songs. These shows can take place at schools, small stages, or in stadiums. As it's a festival for children all around the world, there are events for them. All the children wear their traditional clothes and they dance to traditional songs from their own countries. Let's move on with our second national holiday, which is the commemoration of Atatürk, Youth and Sports Day. The day is celebrated to commemorate Mustafa Kemal's landing to Samsun with a ship called Bandırma. The day is regarded as the beginning of the Turkish War of Independence. It is considered as a turning point for the Turkish nation and the beginning of liberation. Atatürk gifted this holiday to the Turkish youth because he saw that those who would advance Turkish nation and those who would oppose the outdated ideas were young people. National anthem and youth anthem are sung during the celebrations. Teenagers recite poems, make parades, sports, and different cultural activities like performing folk dances and play epic drama to commemorate Atatürk and his companions, beginning of the national struggle. This is our youth anthem. The anthem basically encourages young generations to work harder, to be passionate, and to be proud of themselves. And these are some recent photos. As you can see, parades are made again, but the main difference from the Children's Day is those students are usually high school students, and those parades can even be shown in the streets. Our third national holiday is the Victory Day. This day is celebrated for the victory in the Battle of Dumlupınar. Greek presence in Anatolia ended with this battle. Victory Day has been celebrated as an official holiday since 1926. It's a celebration of Turkish armed forces. That is why instead of children or teenagers, soldiers or police take place in the parades that are made. There are also many citizens who gather around and watch those parades. The main celebration is held in Ankara, where the president of Turkey leads officials in laying wreaths and then delivers a speech. In my opinion, the most important and exciting part of the day is Turkish Star Show over Dumlupınar. Special performances are prepared for the Victory Day. Here is an example. Turkish Stars are the aerobatic demonstration team of the Turkish Air Force. These pilots are trained for this kind of celebrations, so it's safe for people to watch them like that. In those shows, names of the pilots are being called out loud and audience cheer for them while the show takes place. It was all for the Victory Day. Our fourth and last national holiday is the Republic Day. The holiday commemorates the events of 29th of October 1923, when Mustafa Kemal Atatürk declared that Turkey was henceforth a republic. In fact, the country has been a republic since the establishment of the Grand National Assembly of Turkey, but it became official 3.5 years later. After that, a vote was held in the Grand National Assembly, and Atatürk was elected as the first president of the Republic of Turkey. This video is from the celebrations in 1933, and you can hear people singing the 10th anniversary march. The march is about Turkish citizens and soldiers' attendance to the wars, and it encourages people to take good care of their country and history. Also tells them to work harder for a better future. Like other national holidays, public institutions are closed on Republic Day. Decorations are generally colored red and white, the colors of the Turkish flag. Anıtkabir is visited by more than 100,000 people every year. As you can see in this picture, this is Anıtkabir, and there's a big crowd with their flags. Parades are often held in the morning, while concerts and fireworks displays happens in the evening after dark at such places as parks, fairgrounds, or town squares. And these are some of the photos of Republic Day celebrations at night. In summary, Turkey has 4 different national holidays. All of these can be celebrated today thanks to the founder of Republic of Turkey, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. His face and name are seen and heard everywhere in Turkey. His portrait can be seen in public buildings, in schools, on all Turkish lira banknotes, and in the homes of many Turkish families. We will always be thankful to him for his impacts on Turkish nation. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, I would be glad to answer them.
Yeah, thank you, Göksu. It was really beautiful. I liked it a lot, as the other presentations all today in section 1. This is, of course, something that we are proud of as Turkish nation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Yes, in the chat box, I see some thank yous. Göksu.
The job is nice as well.
Yeah, okay.
I really loved Göksu's presentation, and I think it was really interesting how she showed videos about this, and it made things clear for us. And thank you again for your presentation.
Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, it was really interesting, all the videos.
Yes, Göksu, I want to comment on your presentation. I would like to say that as Turkish people, no matter in Turkey or in other Turkish Republic, we do pay attention to women, old people, children, and youth. They all really matter a lot to us. I want to remind this. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Great words. Great words.
Then we're moving to Rzayeva Tahirə. Yes?
Yes.
And now we're gonna listen to her, yes, on education in Azerbaijan.
Today, I'm going to give you information about education in Azerbaijan.
Sorry, your voice is not loud enough. You know, I can't hear you well. I'm not sure whether this is my problem though, but
yes, we do agree. We cannot hear Tahirə as well. Can you please speak louder?
Is it okay now?
Yes, better.
I'm going to give you information about education in Azerbaijan. In Azerbaijan, school is compulsory from around the age of 5 or 6 to around 15 or 16 and consists of 3 levels of education, from primary school to general secondary. System of education in the Republic of Azerbaijan consists of 3 levels: primary, general secondary, and full secondary education. About primary education. Primary education in the Republic of Azerbaijan begins with 6 years of age and covers the first 4 classes. Objective of the primary education is to develop in children ability to read, write, and compute, the elements of logical thinking. About general secondary education. General secondary school education begins with 6 years of age. In the Republic of Azerbaijan, the final evolution is done at the level of general secondary education, and the relevant document, the certificate, is issued to pupils finished the education. Document on general secondary education is considered as a basis for continuing the next level of education. The purpose of secondary education is to form in pupils the culture of oral speech and writing, communication skills, logical thinking, and to provide the ability to determine the direction of future activity. General secondary education covers the 5th to 9th classes. About full secondary education. Full secondary education, being the last level of school education, covers 10th, 11th classes, and the final state attestation of the assessment knowledge of pupils is carried out. According to the results of the attestation, the relevant state certificate of education is issued to graduates. At the level of full secondary education, the full realization of pupils' talent and ability, their preparation for independent life and profession selection, etc. will be provided. Full secondary education covers full mastering of education programs, curriculum in all 3 levels. A little bit about the entrance exam. The entrance exam is the official governmental exam entrants take to get into universities every summer in different regions of Azerbaijan. Evolution is based on the higher the better system. Maximum score is 700. There are overall 4 main groups of profession and 1 extra 5th group for those who plan to attend vocational schools. The government exempts those who score higher from tuition fees. Higher education. Higher education provides the training of high qualified specialists in view of requirements of society and labor market, based on full secondary education and secondary vocational education. Training of specialists in higher education institutions of Republic of Azerbaijan is of 3 cycles. First cycle, baccalaureate. Second cycle, the magistrate. Third cycle, the doctorate. There are 38 state-run and 11 private universities in Azerbaijan. The most popular institutions of higher education are the Adlı University, Bakü State University, Azerbaijan University of Languages, Azerbaijan State Oil Academy, Bakü Higher Oil School, and so on. I'm going to talk about Bakü State University. Bakü State University, the first university of Azerbaijan, established in 1919 and includes more than a dozen departments, ranging from physics to Oriental studies, and has the largest library in Azerbaijan. The student population numbers more than 11,000 and the faculty over 600. About Adlı University. Azerbaijan Diplomatic Academy is established under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Azerbaijan in March 2006 by Hafiz Pashayev. The main objective was to train specialists for a diplomatic career in Azerbaijani foreign affairs. Since 2006, ADA has expanded the number of programs it offers and became a full-fledged university with 4 schools. First, School of Public and International Affairs. Second, School of Business. Third, School of Education. And fourth one is School of Information Technologies and Engineering. And about Azerbaijan University of Languages. Azerbaijan University of Languages is a public university in Baku. The student body consists of approximately 4,000 undergraduates and 900 graduate master's degree students. The university has a combined faculty of more than 700 teachers. The university maintains close relations with UNESCO, operating in UNESCO Translation Department, as well as hosting a UNESCO-sponsored faculty chair. There are 7 schools, 25 departments at the university, and a lot of scientific centers, laboratories activate at present. As a result of the educational reforms, Azerbaijan University of Languages has been the first university which transmitted the whole system to credit system. The university has cooperation with higher education institutions of Turkey, the US, the United Kingdom, France, and other European institutions. Student exchanges have been intensive thanks to both cooperation. That's all. Thanks for listening.
Okay, thank you, Tahirə. Great presentation as well. Now we are ready for comments and questions.
Questions.
Yeah.
I don't have any.
Do you have foreign students from other countries, or what's the range of this?
Of course, if you want, I can give you information about admission of foreigners to higher schools of Azerbaijan. Admissions of foreigners to doctorates of higher education institutions and scientific organizations is implemented based on international treaties concluded by the Republic of Azerbaijan, as well as on paid basis in accordance with contract concluded between higher education institutions and the foreigners.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any other questions?
I've got a question. A final question.
Okay.
Will this system of education get us anywhere?
Sorry, I can't catch.
Will this kind of education, will this education system get us anywhere? Will it get us further?
Yes.
Can you explain me why?
Its curriculum system, Azerbaijan helps students to get education system.
Mm-hmm. So either this way or that way, we need a system, right? So it depends on the people, how well they use the system and how well they make the best of it, I guess, of the systems. Thank you, Tahirə. Okay, and now we move on to Gözde Kaynak from Dokuz Eylül University. Gözde will make a presentation on Turkish customs and traditions. Gözde, are you there? Yes, I can see you right now, your name.
Okay, I will like this.
Gözde, are you now speaking, dear? Because I can't hear you. I don't know why.
Can you hear me right now?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
perfectly.
Hello everyone, my name is Gözde, and today I will be talking about Turkish customs and traditions to help you know a lot more about Turkey. As you know, traditions represent a critical piece of our culture. They help form the structure and foundation of our families and our society. They remind us that we are part of a history that defines our past, shapes who we are today, and who we are likely to become. Turkey also has a shared interest in traditions, and today we'll take a look at some of them. I want to start with something that a lot of visitors are talking about Turkey before anything else, and that's the hospitality of Turkish people. Hospitality is a cornerstone of Turkish culture, and Turkish people believe that visitors should be treated as guests sent by God. This attitude has survived up to the 21st century and is unlikely to diminish by mass tourism. In fact, quite the reverse. Most Turks welcome the opportunity to meet foreign visitors, learn about different cultures, and practice their language skills. Visitors to Turkey are often pleasantly surprised by the friendliness of Turkish people. I will tell you some of our habits when it comes to communicate with people. In Turkey, an embrace is generally reserved for close friends or family. If you are meeting with someone for the first time, handshake is perfectly acceptable. If the person that they're greeting is an elder, Turks kiss elders' hands to show them they respect them, because respect is also a big part of Turkish culture. Turks also favor a cheek kiss, and a kiss on each cheek is appropriate in just about any situation where people are greeting each other. Most Turkish people really like physical contact and that don't avoid it or find it awkward at all. As we said, Turks are a hospitable bunch, and most of them really like to entertain a guest at their homes. But there are some unwritten rules that you need to follow when you are invited to somewhere. They are not as important as they were used to be, but they're still seen as signs of kindness. Like bringing a small gift is important, especially if it's food, because your gift is also shared with you in addition to the other foods that are prepared for you. So it is kind of an win-win situation. You must take off your shoes when you visit someone's home and put them in front of the door, even if the host told you not to. In the Turkish culture, this behavior is very important because it also means that you respect them. They try to make you feel comfortable and at home as much as they can, and end along gathering with a cup of Turkish coffee or tea. But it is really likely that you have already drank lots of cup of coffee or tea already, because these two are what makes Turkish people Turkish. Okay, so about the weddings, this is the longest part. Turkey is such a melting pot of cultures, civilizations, and histories that it's no surprise that its weddings have turned into something completely unique to Turkey. One very important point about Turkish weddings, however, they are incredibly inclusive. If you stumble upon a Turkish wedding, feel free to congratulate the lucky bride and groom, and it is very possible that you'll be invited to the wedding. Weddings often feature thousands of people where entire villages attend, and the attitude is the more, the merrier, as opposed to the more intimate setting of weddings common in other countries. So before the wedding, even though couples do propose to each other and decide to get married, there is a custom to be followed in the Turkish culture. After the couple decides that their relationship is serious and they want to get married, the families get involved immediately. The soon-to-be groom visits the soon-to-be bride's family's house with his family on a decided night. They bring flowers, chocolate, and desserts along with the engagement rings if they decide to have the engagement ceremony on the same night. There is a fun fact. In the old days, where arranged marriage were common, if the woman did not want to marry the man, she would put salt in his coffee to signal that she doesn't want to marry him. But nowadays, this tradition has changed, and it became the woman started to put salt in man's coffee no matter what, just to have some fun. While everyone is having their coffee, the man's father or a family elder asks the woman's father or a family elder again for permission for the couple to get married. If the woman's family gives permission, they move on to the engagement ceremony. Some families also may prefer to have fun with some music after the engagement ceremony. Again, the henna night does in fact serve a similar purpose as a hen night, in that it's about saying farewell to bachelorhood and embracing marriage. Naturally, despite the similarity, the name has no relationship with hen parties, but comes from the tradition of burning henna, which is believed to protect married couples from evil, as well as further their devotion to each other. The ceremony is still primarily female, but sometimes groom and his friends can make an appearance. But it's still a celebration for the bride and her friends. Another unusual feature of the henna night is that while it's a joyous occasion, it is tinged with a touch of sorrow, and often features the bride crying as she realizes that she's leaving one lifestyle and entering another. Okay, the car convoy tradition dates back to the era when horses were used rather than cars. Now a convoy of cars follows the bridle car and they drive all over the village, town, city in a row. Often the car stops and the double and zurna play, which we will be talking about shortly. People often honk horns as part of the convoy too. When the car stops, children will pour into the streets and ask the bride and groom for pocket money, and the bride and groom typically have placed small sums of money into envelopes to hand out to children. This ceremony, gold and money are the main wedding gifts in Turkey, and there is typically even a ceremony after the official marriage ceremony is complete. The bride and groom don sashes, and guests come up one by one to take pictures with them and pin gold or money onto the sashes. It is like a payback to the bride and groom for their hospitality in a way. The money is then supposed to be used to help the couple get started in life, whether to buy a house or anything else they need to begin their new lives together. Of course, if they want to, they can also donate it or even skip this ceremony. Okay, about the music, the classic wedding instruments, particularly in the lead up to the occasion, are traditional Turkish drums called davul and pipes called zurna, which we talked about in the Karkonga section. Today, these are still formed as part of tradition, though as you'd expect, the primary wedding music tends to be more modern in form. Halay is the most common form of folk dance for weddings, against traditionally played with the zurna and the davul. It is a cycle of the same melody that begins slow and speeds up, with people holding each other's hands or fingers and dancing together. Of course, different regions have different traditions with the halay dances. Though it's really rare that you would find a single wedding in Turkey without it being played or danced to. So enough with the weddings. Now I'm going to show you other things, that the more hidden gems that are also really important for Turkish people and culture. Nazar, the evil eye, one of Turkey's most popular souvenirs. These blue eyes made of glass are actually meant to ward off the negative energy from someone's eyes who feels envious of you. The evil eye is blue because, according to this superstition, blue eyes give off the most negative energy, and the glass eye is supposed to cancel it out. Traditionally, evil eyes are pinned onto newborn babies' clothes, as well as hung above doors in houses and businesses for protection against bad luck. The throwing water, it is more like a superstition than a tradition, but it became a tradition in time. I really like the meaning behind it. This is the traditional way in Turkey to bid farewell to loved ones who are setting out on a long journey by road vehicle. Actually, any container can be used to throw the water. You can also use a glass or a cup. The tradition itself serves to express a wish that the long journey will go smoothly without mishap, as smooth as water. Cologne, which is really important these days. Colonia, which means cologne, has been a treasured symbol of Turkish hospitality and health since the Ottoman Empire, and is often described as Turkey's national scent. Traditionally, the sweet scented aroma made with fig blossoms, jasmine, rose, or citrus ingredients is poured on guests' hands as they enter homes, hotels, and hospitals, when they finish meals at restaurants, or as they gather for religious services. Of course, when we talk about Turkey, we can touch on the famous Turkish cuisine. Turkish cuisine is one of the most appetizing and rich cuisines of the world, and Turkish people are known to be quite passionate about food. Diversity and the full flavor makes the Turkish cuisine worldwide famous, which draws influences from its rich history, and each region in the country today praises its own specialties. The richness of Turkish cuisine is based on several factors, like variety of products cultivated on the lands of Asia and Anatolia, numerous cultural interactions in history, the palace kitchens of Selçuk and Ottoman empires, and geographical conditions that shape the character of Turkish culinary culture. As we talked about in the very beginning, that tea and coffee are what makes Turkish people Turkish, and they're also very big parts of Turkish cuisine. And lastly, I wanted to make the closing with this too, as we normally do in real life. Tea is served during breakfast and offered almost all day long, especially if you're invited to a store or an office. Tea is ordered right away. Turkish coffee after meals is also part of a Turk's daily habits. It is traditional to serve Turkish coffee with a glass of water and some Turkish delights. Of course, there are so many other things that needs to be included, but I tried to gather the ones that we are most exposed in our daily lives. So I hope you like it. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, I will gladly answer them.
So thank you, Gözde, again. Thank you. It was really interesting to listen to our traditions, our customs from a young person like you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions? Any
would like
comments?
to thank for interesting presentation. And as I listened, I see that we have lots of coincidences.
Yeah.
We almost celebrate the same holidays and we almost have the same traditions. And it is so nice that we share common traditions, feelings, customs. Thank you.
Yeah, it shows us that we are just one nation again, maybe two countries, but just one nation. Yeah,
Yes, of course, we have some minor differences in terms of celebrating or getting prepared for these all occasions, but in general, as you said, we do all the same things, we follow the same traditions. Thank you.
Thank you for your attention.
I have a question for Gözde. First of all, I want to say that I really liked your presentation. My question is, which one of these traditions that you mentioned is your favorite and why?
It may be an odd selection, but I really like the throwing water tradition because of the meaning behind that. I really think it is great and it is really uplifting. That's why.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Okay.
I have a question, one question. Yes. Thank you for your presentation. I have one question. You told about the evil eye, and I want to ask you about it. Do you personally really believe in mystical power of evil eye?
I actually don't really believe it, but I like the shape of it, and I really like that they are hanging it on houses. I like to see it, but I don't really believe it actually.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Please. Could you tell me what are the most common traditions, I mean customs, between our nations, Turkish and Azerbaijani? Give me some examples, the most significant and the best one, please.
I think it will be the weddings, the wedding traditions. The way like visiting the family for their permission to get married, and also, the music culture, and then, yeah, the henna nights. That's what I think.
Okay, I'm happy with your answers. Thank you.
I'm happy.
Is it the same though? Is it the same, Gülşen? Do you have a henna night, for example? I just wonder right now. Yeah? Okay. Now we move on to section 3. In section 3, we have 2 speakers, presenters. Actually, the first topic will be presented by 2 students, Şems Cəfərova and Sara Həsənli. If I'm pronouncing wrong, please forgive me. Yes.
Hello, everyone. I'm very glad to see you here again. And I'm going to talk about Azerbaijani culture. Everyone who listens to Azerbaijani music reads poems and ghazals and gets acquainted with such masterpieces as coppersmithing and feels like in a magical world. Azerbaijan is known in the world as the crossroads of many different civilizations. And you can see many beautiful examples of Azerbaijani folk art in the richest museums of the world, as Victoria and Albert in London, the Louvre in Paris, and in Tehran, in Istanbul, and so on. And I have to mention that they are about 5,000 years old. And let's talk about Azerbaijani music. The branch of Azerbaijani music is mugham, and it's a unique pearl of Azerbaijani culture. It requires a special throat technique and a wide range of sounds. And I have to mention that it consists of wonderful music and a very meaningful words. And UNESCO declared Azerbaijani Mugham as a masterpiece of intangible heritage in 2003. And it brought some genres to Azerbaijani music as Mugham Opera by Üzeyir Hacıbəyov, then Mugham Jazz by Vagif Mustafazadeh, Symphonic Mugham by Fikret Amirov, and it was included in the representative list of heritage. And let's talk about the International Mugham Center, which was established by Mrs. Mehriban Aliyeva. You can see there some pictures of it. I would recommend to go there. It's because just a fascinating place you can ever go. And Mrs. Mehriban Aliyeva mentions the Haydar Aliyev's word. It is, a nation is known in the world by its language and its culture. And so we also agree with this idea. Let's talk about Azerbaijani Ashıq. It's the other branch of Azerbaijani music. And we can see their desires of the people, feelings of love and tourism. And I have to say that Ashıks are the best travelers because they wrote to their epics the most interesting events they saw. And there are some epics like Abbas and Gülgaz, Ashıq Garib, Asli and Kerem, and so on, like created in this way. And Azerbaijani Ashıq is included in the UNESCO's representative list of heritage in 2009. Let's talk about a Çövkən game. Çövkən game is a type of shooting game, and it's very popular in Azerbaijan, especially in Karabakh. And it's about 3,000 years old. And you can see there the people's courage, strength, and their skill. And in the right picture, you can see a 16th century's miniature, which was about Khosrow and Shirin by Nizami Ganjavi. Thanks for your attention, and Sara will continue.
Yes. Now I would like to continue the topic. So suffice it to read that Gorgut to witness the richness of literature and folklore of our ancestors and their tireless struggle for justice, dedication to work, respect for the women, affinity to the mother, and attitude to the enemy, all human qualities characteristic of Dada Gorgut are the embodiment of our nation's moral and psychological features, which took centuries to develop. This system of values has become part of our nation's creed and subsequently spread to the philosophical content of invaluable works. 12th century Azerbaijani poet Nizami, who highlighted the importance of dialogue between peoples and different civilizations for the future of mankind, in his poem Seven Giddes was the first representative of Oriental Muslim literature to create the character of Shaba, who was the affianced female widow. However, the poet lived and worked in an age of religious fanaticism and of feudal despotism, where man's fate was dependent on the rule of women, while women lacked in the most basic civil and human rights. Thus, Nizami foresaw Dante, Petrarch, Shakespeare, and Pushkin, creating more immortal him to be the nobleness, cleverness, and devotion of women. So, as we know, national press and national theatre could only be founded at the end of the 19th century, as there was the impact of Alliance power ruling the country and Alliance culture. At early times of theatre referred to the plays of Shakespeare, Shelley, and Gogol, prevailed over the others, but literary movement was stepped out in the cultural life of Mirza Fatali Ahmedov's works emerged. So the plays of Vizir of Karan Khan, Haji Bara, etc. by Ahmedov are the cornerstones of national theatre of Azerbaijan founded in 1873. The playwright also created the literary characters of who were the honest representatives of simple folk. So Azerbaijani women and progressive representatives of this epoch who pressed for social progress, and all these facts show a general view of pattern of literature and culture of Azerbaijan. Moreover, the publication that felt most energetically for the victory of the democratic ideas was a magazine, Oğlan Nasruddin, published by Jalil Mehmet Gulzadeh. And it was at the beginning of 20th century. So the poet, satirical poet, Mirza Sabir, now for his colorful language and humor and ridicule, also worked on this magazine. And the main purpose of the magazine was satirically depict various social phenomena. And the foundation of musical theater was laid in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The opera Leyli and Majnun, which was the first opera not only in Azerbaijan but also in the entire Muslim world, was staged in 1908 by Rzayeva, who used a combination of style and also forming his compositions. Bringing together elements of West and East music, succeeding in creating perfect synthesis of those two phenomena. He also founded the operetta genre in Azerbaijan, and the first musical operetta was Arshin Malalan, deals comically with restricted freedom of women, Muslim women, especially wearing veils. And as a matter of fact, Azerbaijan, which has held the human in high esteem for centuries, has managed to successfully and resolutely transform this respect onto a legal plane. Let's look 100 years back to see that the 2-year experience of independent Azerbaijani state, which existed between 1918 and 1920, shows that Azerbaijanis fulfilled the mission of establishing the first democratic state in the East with dignity. It was that state that made an invaluable contribution to world democracy by providing women with suffrage at the time when no such rights existed in France, leading European state and US. Also, let's continue the topic with carpets. Carpet weaving also occupies a special place among the models of Azerbaijani art, which led by women as well. The variety of colors and technological performance of the Azerbaijani carpets and the magic world of ornament converted them to the most beautiful and most unique models of the mastic. So development of multiculturalism, tolerance, and religious tolerance at the level of state policy in Azerbaijan is based on history of statehood of country and development of all culture and literature traditions, which I mentioned about. Thanks to the national cultural diversity existing in Azerbaijan, the atmosphere of ethnic and religious tolerance, our motherland is known as multi-religious country in a space of global intercultural country of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Sara. Your presentation was really interesting, actually. I loved listening to both of you. And to see, Azerbaijani culture, music, and literature, to learn about them. Thank you. And we can get some questions and comments if there are any.
I would also like to thank presenters for interesting and colorful presentation as well. I would like to ask Turkish students, I would like to know their opinion. How popular is Azerbaijani music in Turkey? Because we don't know whether people in Turkey, they listen to any kind of music, Azerbaijani music, folk music, Mugham, for example. How popular is it in Turkey? Our youngsters, for example, they love listening to Turkish music and they know lots of singers, both modern and I would say classical traditional ones. But what about Turkish students?
I was actually comment on the mentioning of music. I was so glad to hear about Arshin Malalan because it took me to the days of my university years when I first heard it. I'm so glad my students also, hear about it, at least here. As far as I can see, in Turkish TV channels, we can see some Azerbaijani music. But I don't know if my students are, following what's popular.
I think Gönül Hocam, they might be familiar with the names of Elnur Seferov or something like this, who attended the Turkish song contest and who won it. You may remember, Sefer Hocam.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think his name was Elnur. I can't remember.
Yeah. He was in the Eurovision Song Contest, and I admired his presentation, his performance. Yeah.
He had a really and smooth voice, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. And he was popular then in Turkey.
I like listening the song of Ayrılık from Reşit Behbudov.
Yes.
I like the way how he sings it. You may remember the song Ayrılık.
Yes, of course. You, Zorkçu.
I love it. Listening in Azerbaijan accent.
Yeah, right. This is
and people would recognize the melody when they hear Ayrılık, I think. They may not know the name of the song, but most people would recognize it immediately, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And they may not know the history of the song as well. Why it is written.
Yeah, the story behind this music is quite impressive as well. You are absolutely right. And I would also like to note that our presenter, she mentioned Kitab-ı Dede Gorgud, and probably you are familiar with it as well. Just a quick reminder that our rector, academician Kemal Abdullayev, is on academic trip in Turkey at the moment at Marmara University, and he is delivering lectures there on this topic. And I guess it might also be interesting to the academic staff as well as the students of Dokuz Eylül University.
Yeah.
We can organize a kind of event in future on this topic as well.
Yeah, why not, Hocam, Gönül Hocam? I personally, I remember myself, I used to love reading and listen to the story, from my father. The stories of Dede Korkut, I used to read myself, and I used to love listening to those stories from my father. What amazing stories they were or they are, they are still, Dede Korkut is
it's a masterpiece.
Is a masterpiece in
Turkish nation.
Yeah. Okay.
Hocam, maybe we can have something about storytelling, telling
Why
stories
not?
and tales from Azerbaijan and Turkey. Just an idea, I mean.
Yeah, it would be great storytelling project. Yeah, why not, Azerbaijan?
And also, I would like to say that, Gönül Hocam, I like the aşık. In Turkish, we say aşık.
Aşık.
We also have aşıklar.
Yeah, the singer, the folk singer, that's really famous. We like it a lot, and we have the same thing in Turkey. And it's quite, I mean, it makes us quite happy to see those things familiar.
Exactly, Murat Hocam.
As I said before in my preliminary speech, that I was sure, and I am sure now, that many projects, many kind of projects will flow from today's meeting. That the first is Dede Korkut, I think.
Yeah, yeah. The first one will be Dede Korkut Hocam. Yes, Sevinç Hocam, you're right. Okay. So let's move on to our last speaker right now, Beyza Ünlü from Dokuz Eylül University. And I'm sure you will like it, her presentation, because it's really an interesting topic. A Turkish myth, Şahmaran. Again, it's very suitable for storytelling. So that will be interesting to listen to you, Beyza.
Thank you. I'm starting now. Welcome everyone, I'm Beyza from Dokuz Eylül University, and I'm studying American culture and literature. So I will tell you a story, a myth right now. A Turkish myth, Şahmaran and feminism. So I will present you in that order. Firstly, feminism in stories and myths, then Şahmaran story, and finally serpent symbol and mythos. We all are storytellers, and our stories represent our viewpoints. We add personal thoughts and personal feelings into our stories, and our stories become our reality. Actually, this is also same for myths. But there is one thing that we need to be careful about. This is who will we listen to. As I mentioned before, we add personal thoughts and personal feelings into our stories. And we all must have noticed the lack of women in history. That has never been fair for women. Throughout history, stories and myths have always been told by men, and that lead to create a specific woman image in and their listeners' minds. According to this image, patient, quiet, and obedient women are good. And if a woman objects to this image, then she becomes a witch, she becomes a devil. We see men as first gender, and we see women as another gender, as second gender. This is wrong. We all know that, and this is wrong. Let's think Snow White for a second. Why she needed men to survive, or why she couldn't live on her own. Even in child stories, they are trying to normalize that image. And in childhood, our basic instincts, our basic thoughts start to arise. And if we learn that segregation when we were a child, then it will probably continue in our adult life too. Myths have such a wide history as human existence, and they contain daily life problems. We can see gods and goddesses have similar problems like we have. They have jealousy, they have curiosity, and the most important one, they want to be the most powerful one, like humans. And now I will tell you Goddess of Serpents, Şahmaran's story. Once upon a time, there was a man called Cemsap. And that man was feeling useless. He was bad at school, he was bad at everything. He failed whatever he tried. But he liked roads, he liked mountains, he liked caves more than books. He liked nature. And one day, he and his friends gathered to collect some honey. While they were strolling deep in the forest, they noticed a cave full of honey. And they, his friends, chose Cemsap to go down and collect that honey. When he went down, his friends betrayed him and left him there. Cemsap was terrified at that moment. He was so afraid, but he suddenly saw a radiant light coming from the corner of the cave. And that light was coming from Şahmaran's garden. He followed that light and he saw a huge garden. In that garden, thousands of snakes were living in peace. And that garden was the most beautiful thing that Cemsap saw in his life. And he met Şahmaran in that garden. She allowed him to stay there, and he listened to her stories, eat garden's food, and years passed. And as years passed, Cemsap started to miss his family, miss his old life, miss his village. And he told Şahmaran that he wanted to go. Of course, Şahmaran was feeling disappointed, but she let him go anyway, in one condition. According to this condition, Cemsap wasn't supposed to tell anyone that he saw Şahmaran. And she added, humans are cruel. They know my body is a source of medicine, and if they know my place, they would kill me without pity. And she added, when you go out of this garden, whenever you touch water, your back will turn into scales. Don't forget that. Cemsap accepted these conditions and he left the cave. He started to turn back to his village, and he kept his promise too for a while. One day, king of the country became ill, and many doctors tried to heal him, but none of them succeeded. And king advisors started to carry a search, and they find out Şahmaran's existence. After that, they started to take everyone to Turkish baths to see their backs, and Cemsap couldn't escape from it. They understood his secrets and they undungeoned him. They told him that if you tell Şahmaran's place, then we will spare your life. But Cemsap didn't accept this offer, and they left him there without food and without water. After a week, he was so devastated, he was so hungry and so thirsty, and he had to tell Şahmaran's place. After that, king advisors found Şahmaran. They found her cave, and before they carry her to the palace, Şahmaran told her serpents that I will come back in order to protect humanity against her serpents. And king advisors carried her to the palace on a golden tray. In that palace, Şahmaran saw Cemsap, and at that moment, she understood that there is no way out anymore. But she forgave him anyway. She told him that they will boil me. Don't drink the first boiled water. Drink the second one. And king advisors boiled her. They took the first boiled water to the king, and he drank it quickly. After a few seconds, he started shaking, and after a minute, he was dead. Cemsap drank the second water, and at that moment, he suddenly gained majestic healing powers. He could find cure to every disease, and he could hear plants, talk to plants, but he never forgot the betrayal he did to Şahmaran. And Cemsap became the Lokman Hekim, the famous doctor in history. This is the end of the Şahmaran story, a long and tragic one. And now I will shortly mention you serpent symbol in mythology. So in early times, snake was meaning both poison and heal, both poison and health, like women's symbol, both fearful creature and good one. But also snakes has another meanings too, like Ouroboros, the snake who bites its own tail. For Druids, that meant balance, and for other people, that meant eternity. Or like Hermes' caduceus on the right picture, that also represents medicine. And that was the end of my presentation. Thanks for your attention and listening. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
Yeah, thank you, Beyza. I love the story of Şahmaran, and listening to the story again and in English from you, it was great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for this storytelling. It was interesting to listen, and I found the presentation quite impressive and eye-catching. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm glad.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yes, first of all, I could say your presentation really was so informative and nice for us. But I have a question. In the presentation has written history never been fair. And my question that, can you give us the fact in the history being like a fact, true fact, but actually it's not?
Sorry, I couldn't get your question. Can you ask me again?
Yes, I asked that. Can you give us the example from the history, which is knowing the like true fact, but actually it's not. It's questionable or noticeable. I hope you
let me think about it. Actually, there are really more facts that are not true, but we know that as true. And let me think an example. Like women being witch. We all know that there is no creature like witch, but they see women as witch because they fear from women, like that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. All right. If you don't have any other questions or comments, Beyza, would you please just turn on your screen share, turn off your screen share there?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. Beyza was the last student speakers today, today's event, and now I'd like to, it is a time for closing right now, and I'd like to hand over to Elşan. Am I right? Yes, yes.
Yeah, just let me very quickly introduce. Thank you, Özlem Hocam. So at the end of today's webinar, we would like to present two promotional videos with your permission. One will be about our country and the other will be about our university. Maybe students might find it interesting and useful. And afterwards, our Aynur Hoca will give you a few words, and last day will be taken by our Associate Professor Sevdagül Hanım. She will end today's webinar with a few words in closure. So, Gülşən Müəllim, the floor is yours. We don't hear.
We don't hear, yeah.
The video has some sound on.
Gülşən Hocam.
Gülşən Müəllim. I guess this video has sound on, but we don't hear it at the moment. Can you please include sound so that we hear?
Gülşən səs.
Я не знаю, почему-то не работает. Минуточку, сейчас Виндей çalışkan bence.
So you'd better include computer sound, Gülşən Müəllim. At the moment you see flame towers, I can comment by that time he's fixing the sound problem. So this is Baku city.
Gelmir səsi.
No, unfortunately. Sesini eşitmirik. Paylaşmamışdan önce orada bir işarə var. Onu seçmeniz şərtdir, Gülşən Müəllim.
Çıkıp təzədən paylaşın. Onda.
Aha. Just stop sharing.
Onu əvvəl açıb.
All right.
İzninizle bu problem çözülene kadar ben birkaç istiyorum.
Buyurun. Elbette.
Herkese gerçekten öğrencilerimize çok teşekkür ederim. Çok değerli sunumlar oldu. Hepsini dinledim sonuna kadar. Çok gerçekten öğrencilerimizi takdir ediyorum. İyi ki varsınız. Hocalarımıza da ayrıca çok teşekkür ederim. Değerli katkıları için, soruları için. Ben de size şu an Azerbaycan ve Türkiye bayrakları fonunda kendi evime gelmek durumunda kaldım bu arada. Ama devamlı telefonum açıktı ve dinliyordum. Çok sağ olun. Güzel bir webinar için. İnşallah bunların devamı da olur. Herkese selam ve saygılarımı, sevgilerimi iletiyorum. Herhalde sorun çözülmüştür. Ben
Yes, looking forward to seeing you all here in this beautiful city.
So we're looking forward to see the pandemic is over. Then we will be visiting Azerbaijan, Bakü, İçerişehir, and everywhere.
Tamam. Oh, we see Gülmire Hoca. Sen, Allah sahlasın, Allah bağışlasın.
Привет. Tamam kızım.
Привет.
Привет. Herkesi selamlıyoruz. Tekrar ailecek.
Çok güzel, Allah saklasın.
Sağ olun.
It was a great video. Thank you for this video about Azerbaijan and Baku. That was really beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. I guess we have a word by Aynur Hoca.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, I guess I skipped the video.
Yes, the second video.
So sorry.
It's okay. Now we have another video again, but this time it is about Azerbaijan University of Languages. Again, it's a short video. Let's now watch it.
Evet, güzel Bakü'müzü herkes görmüş oldu. Gerçekten pandemiden sonra inşallah mutlaka Bakü'yü ziyaret etmenizi isterim değerli hocalarım ve öğrencilerimiz. Herkese tekrar selamlıyorum, öpüyorum herkesi. Görüşmek üzere.
Görüşmek üzere. Çok sağ olun, çok sağ olun.
Var mı başka hocaların sözü? Kapatalım mı? Nasıl yapalım?
Hocam henüz bitmedi. Videolarımız var. Elşan hocam,
tamam,
do you hear
pardon.
me? I mean about the second video now. Yeah, thank you. I think it's finished.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for your patience. Now we'll give a word to Aynur Hoca and the Sevdagül Hoca for the closing ceremony.
Yeah.
And we would also like to thank all participants, teachers, students on both sides for taking the initiative and for joining us today. Thank you. So Aynur Hanım.
Yes, Aynur Hanım is the director of Turkish Research Center. So now we're gonna hear a few words from her. Aynur Hocam, are you there?
I think she's unmuted.
Aynur Hocam, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
She's speaking, but she's unmuted.
Aynur Hocam, if you hear us, you're unmuted.
Devam edebilir miyim hocam?
Sure.
Sizi duyuyoruz.
Devam edebilir miyim? Merhabalar.
Sure.
Hepinizi Türkiye'den sevgi ve saygıyla selamlıyorum. Çok güzel, çok verimli bir webinardı. Emeğe geçen herkese teşekkür ediyorum. Kıymetli hocalarımın ve heyecan dolu, sevgi dolu öğrencilerin yüreğine sağlık diyorum. Ben sizi çok yormadan kısa bir bilgi vermek istiyorum. Azerbaycan Dillər Universiteti ile Türkiye üniversiteleri arasındaki emektaşlığa değinmek istiyorum kısaca. Öncelikle bir üniversitenin dünya ile uyum içinde olabilmesi, tehsil, akademik, iş ve karşılıklı araştırmalarla mümkündür. Bunları özüne prensip eden Azerbaycan Dillər Universiteti büyük başarılara imza atmıştı. Bunlardan biri de Azerbaycan Dillər Universiteti ile Türkiye üniversiteleri arasındaki ortak məqsədlərə xidmət edən əməkdaşlıq əlaqələridir. Azerbaycan Dillər Universiteti Türkiye'nin birçok önde gelen üniversitetiyle həmişə sıx əməkdaşlıq əlaqələri içinde olup ve bu ənənə bugün de devam etmektedir. Azerbaycan Dillər Universiteti Erasmus programı çerçevesinde Türkiye'nin Hacettepe, Ankara, Ordu, Hasan Kalyoncu ve Başkent üniversiteleri ile emektaşlık etmektedir. Bu cür emektaşlık çerçevesinde 2015-2016 tədris ilində Azerbaycan Dillər Universitetinin Tərcümə Fakültəsinin 2 bakalavr tələbəsi 6 ay müddətində Türkiye'nin Hacettepe Universitetində, Hacettepe Universitetinin də 2 magistr tələbəsi Azerbaycan Dillər Universitetində təhsil almışdı. 2016-2017 təhsil ilində Azerbaycan Dillər Universitetinin Tərcümə Fakültəsinin 3 müəllimi Hacettepe Üniversitesi'nde 7 gün müddetinde təlim keçmişti. Hacettepe Üniversitesi'nin de bir magistr tələbəsi Erasmus programı çerçevesinde Azerbaycan Dillər Universitesi'nde təhsil almaya başlamıştı. Azerbaycan Dillər Universiteti eyni zamanda Mevlana değişim programı çerçevesinde Türkiye'nin Ardahan, Marmara ve Ordu üniversiteleri ile de emektaşlık edir. 2015 ildə Azerbaycan Dillər Universiteti ile Hacettepe Üniversiteti arasında da ikili diplom müqaviləsi imzalanmışdı. 2016 ildə Ankara Üniversitetinin nümayəndələri ilə Azerbaycan Dillər Universitetinin əməkdaşları arasında işgüzar görüş keçirilmişdi. 2016 ildə eyni zamanda Türkiye'nin Ankara Üniversitesindən Profesör Doktor Abdullah Gündoğdu Regionşünaslıq və Beynəlxalq Münasibətlər Fakültəsində təhsil alan tələbələr üçün mühazirə oxumaq məqsədi ilə Azerbaycan Dillər Universitetinə dəvət olunmuşdu. 2017 ildə Türkiye'nin Hacettepe Üniversitetindən Doçent Refiya Gülin Öğüt Ekar ve Profesör Ayfer Altay, aynı zamanda Başkent Üniversitetinden Profesör Süər Ekar, Ankara Üniversitetinden Profesör Mərtxan Dündar hocalar mühazirə oxumaq üçün Azerbaycan Dillər Universitetinə dəvət olunmuşdu. 7 iyun 2019 il tarixində Azerbaycan Dillər Universiteti ilə 9 Eylül Universiteti arasında tələbə mübadilə proqramı, akademik heyət arasında mübadilə proqramları, elmi tədqiqat layihələrinin həyata keçirilməsi istiqamətində protokol imzalanmışdı. Bu əməkdaşlığın bugün və daima devam etmesi diləklərimlə inşallah Sevinç Hanımın da dediği kimi bütün bu əməkdaşlıqlar axırıncı yox, axarıncı olur. Dinlediğiniz için teşekkür ederim. İnşallah bir dahaki webinarlarda görüşmek dileğiyle. Sağ olun.
Thank you.
Siz sağ olun, çok sağ olun Aynur Hanım.
Rica ederim, rica ederim. Buyurun.
Umarım bu alışveriş hep devam eder hocam. Bizim öğrenciler Sizin öğrenciler, öğretmenler, biz de gelir gideriz böyle karşılıklı.
Pandemi bitsin inşallah.
Evet.
İnşallah.
Buyurun Sevdagül Hanım, Azərbaycan Dillər Universitetinin doçenti Sevdagül Hanım, son sözler olarak.
Teşekkür ederim. Bu webinarın düşünülmesi, teşekkür ederim bütün teşkilatçılara, bütün sunum yapan bizim tələbələrimize. Çok yüksek seviyeli, çok güzel bir şey. Ve sunumlardan gördüğümüz kimi bu iki xalqın birliği ta qədimdən gelmiş, bugüne kadar devam etmiş ve devam etmektedir. Ben Regionşünaslıq Kafedrasını təqdim edirəm. Regionşünaslıq Kafedrasında 21 region artıq öğrenilir müxtəlif dillərdə ve artıq 3 ildir ki Türkiyə şünaslıq ixtisası belə açılmıştır. Ve bizim hələ Türkiyə şünaslıq ixtisası üzrə buraxılışımız olmamış. Tələbələrimiz yalnız 1, 2, 3. kurslarda varlar. Ve biz Türkiye'nin tarixi, coğrafyası, etnografyası, medeniyeti, dili, edebiyatı, her bir şeyini, siyasi sistemini, turizmini artık bir fen olarak tədris edirik, öğrenirik tələbələrimizlə yanaşı. Ama Regionşünaslıq Kafedrasının Türkiye'nin üniversitetleriyle çok sık əlaqələri vardı. Ona göre ki bu kafedrada bir sıra regionların kültürü, medeniyeti uzun müddətdir ki tədris olunur ve tədqiq edilir. Bu baxımdan biz 2011-ci ildə İzmir'in Ege Üniversitetində, 2013-cü ildə Uludağ Üniversitetində, 2015-ci ildə Kayseri'de Erciyes Üniversitetində Novruz'un tarixi kökləri ve simgeleri elmi araştırması ile bir sunum təqdim etdik. Tələbələrimiz de bizimle getmiştiler ve onlar orada Novruz adetlerini, Novruz'da yerine getirilen xalq oyunları ve belə deyim, oyunlar ve eğlenceler hakkında çok güzel sunumlar təqdim etmiştiler. Ben düşünürəm ki bundan sonra da bizim əməkdaşlığımız ve dostluğumuz devam edecek. 2018-ci ildə biz ümumi liderimiz Heydər Əliyevin 95 illik yubileyini Erzurum Atatürk Üniversitetində birgə orada keçirdik ve Kayseri'de Erciyes Üniversitetində birgə keçirdik ve elbette ki bu etkinlikler bizim gençlerimizi daha da yaxınlaştırır. Ben düşünürəm ki bizim ulularımız Mustafa Kemal Atatürk ve ümumi liderimiz Heydər Əliyev bu iki xalqın dostluğu hakkında çok güzel, yaddan çıkmayacak kəlmələri deyirlər. Atatürk'ün Azerbaycan'ın sevinci sevincimiz, kederi kederimizdir. Ümumi liderimizin biz bir millet, iki dövlətik. Elbette biz iki canda biz bir ürəyik ve bu dostluğu biz gençlerimize ötürmeli. Onların bu dostluğu aparması ve daha da inkişaf ettirmesi için elimizden geleni etmeliyik. Ben size 2 dakikalık bir videonu paylaşmak istəyirəm. Türkiyə Universitetlərində bizim bölümün sunumu hakkında. Elşən müəllim, rica edeceğim sizden sesi açmağı unutmayın. Sesi açın.
Bayram gelir elime elimize, nəğmə düşür dilimə dilimize. Bayram gelir elime elimize, nəğmə düşür dilimə dilimize. Könül gülür elim gülür, gülür gözəl diyarım. Çalır tarım çalır sazım, gülür eller gülür. Könül gülür elim gülür, gülür gözəl diyarım. el üçün kız gelinler, zəhmət çekip el üçün minələr, qonça tutup el üçün kız gelinler. Könül gülür elim gülür, gülür güzel diyarım, çalır tarım çalır sazım, gülür eller gülür. Könül gülür elim gülür, gülür güzel diyarım, çalır tarım çalır sazım, gülür eller gülür. Her yan gül çiçek, gül çiçek, her yan gül çiçek, gül çiçek, her yan gül çiçek, gül çiçek. Gülür elim gülür, gülür gözler yarım, çalır tarım çalır sazım, gülür eller gülür. Könül gülür elim gülür, gülür gözler yarım, çalır tarım çalır sazım, gülür eller gülür, gülür.
Çok sağ olun Elşən müəllim, teşekkür ederim. Bak biz bu etkinlikleri artık Türkiye üniversitelerinde birkaç kere yerine getirmişik. Benim bir teklifim var. Eğer mümkünse ben teklif ederdim ki biz tələbələrimizi, gençlerimizi daha da yakınlaştırmak için yaz kampları teşkil ederdik. Ve bu yaz kamplarında Azerbaycan ve Türk medeniyetinin karşılıklı şekilde öğrenilmesini teşkil edebilirdik. Mesela bizim üniversitetin bu sahada çok güzel bir tecrübesi var. Biz illerdir ki artık 8-9. defədir ki Amerika'da Azerbaycan dili ve medeniyetinin öğrenilmesiyle bağlı bir müsabiqəni uduruq ve Amerika'dan bize Azerbaycan dilini, hatta Türk dilini öğrenmek isteyen tələbələr belə gəlirlər. Yani biz bu kampı birlikte teşkil edebilirik. Bir ay bizde, bir ay sizde, bir hafta bizde, bir hafta sizde muhtelif tələbələri gönderebilirik. Yani biz bir dili, bir medeniyeti, bir dini daşıyan insanlarıq. Gelin gençlerimizi daha da yakınlaştıraq. Çünkü bizim geleceğimiz birgədir. Bizim təhlükəsizliyimiz birgədir. Çok teşekkür ederim her birinize dikkatiniz için. Her zaman sizin için açığıq. Biz son dövrlerde mesela geçen hafta Hacı Vəli Bektaşi ili elan olunub Türkiye'de. Onunla bağlı bir etkinlik geçirdik. Bugün Novruz'la bağlı bir etkinliğimiz var. Gelen hafta Mayıs'ın 7'sinde biz Yunus Emre ili elan olunduğunu Türkiye'de bilirik ve onunla bağlı değerli masa geçireceğiz ve Türkiye'den de çok değerli profesörlerimiz, qonaqlarımız var. Buyurun, memnuniyetle sizi de davet edirik. Biz linki gönderebilirik. Kim koşulmak isterse çok şad olarıq. Teşekkür ederim.
Çok teşekkür ederiz Sevdagül Hocam. Video da gerçekten çok güzeldi. Müzik de çok güzeldi. Ben bir ara çaktırmadan oynamaya başladım. Hemen kamerayı kapattım yani.
Pandemi bitsin, gelin birgə oynayaq.
Evet. Şimdi rica etsem sizden, katılımcılardan birkaç dakikalığına da olsa videolarınızı açarsanız kameralarınızı, ben birkaç görüntü alayım, olur mu? Özellikle konuşmacılarımızdan elbette. Bütün konuşmacılarımız...
Sen hızlı çekebilirsin bunu.
Evet. Öğretmenlerimiz, bu proje için çalışan herkes. Evet, ikinci bir sayfa var. Oraya geçiyorum şimdi diğer. Çok teşekkür ediyorum. Sanırım yeterince aldım. Benim için de bu etkinliği sunmak, moderatörlüğünü yapmak elimden geldiğince, kusurlarım olduysa affola, benim için çok değerliydi burada olmak. Ayrıca ben de Murat hocamıza ve Gülmire hocamıza, Murat hocamıza, diğer bütün arkadaşlarımıza, Gönül hocamıza teşekkür ediyorum. Bu etkinliği gerçek kıldıkları için.
Ben de teşekkür etmek isterim.
Çok üzr istəyirəm Murat hocam. Mən də öz adımdan təşəkkür etmək istəyirəm. Bizim universitetimizin rəhbərliyi adından təşəkkür etmək istəyirəm. Təəssüf ki, Sevinç xanımın bir doktorantının çıxışı olmalıdır. O yüzden bizi tərk etməli oldu. Amma hər birimiz adından öz təşəkkürümüzü çatdırmaq istərdim. İnşallah axarıncı olar. Biz davamlı görüşərik və bizim həm hocalarımız, həm tələbələrimiz öz təcrübələrini, fikirlərini daim bir-biri ilə bölüşər. Təşəkkür edirəm yenə bütün təşəbbüs göstərdiyiniz üçün, bizə köməklik göstərdiyiniz üçün, linkləri, posterləri paylaşdığınız üçün. Gülmira xanım çox təşəkkür edirik, Murat hoca təşəkkür edirik, Özlem hanım və digər bütün katılımcılar. Bizim universitetdən Elşən hoca bizim tələbələrlə çox çalışdı. Ona təşəkkür etmək istərdik. Söz söyləyən bütün hocalarımıza biz təşəkkür edirik. Çox sağ olun diqqətiniz üçün.
Evet, burada aslında birebir ses etmeyen, yani sesi çıkmayan destekçilerimiz de var. Posterimizi hazırlayan arkadaşımız gibi mesela. Birçok kişi çalıştı bu gerçek olsun diye, gerçekleşsin diye. Elgiz'e de buradan teşekkürler.
Ben de çok teşekkür ediyorum.
Emeği geçen herkese teşekkürler.
Evet. Buradan önümüzdeki ay, yani Mayıs ayının 30'unda da hocalarımızla ilgili tekrar bir webinar yapacağımızı, bunun planlamasını yaptığımızı belirtmek isterim. Bilginize sunarım. Ayrıca öğrencilerimiz de, tələbələrimiz de fehrettim. Hepsine eşk olsun. Sevgiler, selamlar.
Çok sağ olun.
Eyvallah.
Sağ olun.
Öyle. Teşekkürler herkese. Sevgiler.
Eyvallah.
Görüşmek üzere yeniden başka etkinliklerde. Kapatıyorum hocam etkinliği.
Tamam. Teşekkür ederiz herkese.
İyi günler.
İyi günler.